trees in the shadow, lizards descend in fire. So saith the Lord. So saith the Lord.
Welcome back to Mages and Murderdads, the best show dedicated to the Baldur's Gate franchise and beyond. I'm Cameron, and I play Ticklevar, the Sorcerer.
And I am Danny, and I play Balthazar, the Barbarian.
This is episode 38, and we are beginning Throne of Bhaal.
This is the start. This is the start of the Throne of Bhaal. This is the final, as of yet, final installment of the Baldur's Gate series.
We took a little bit of a break. First break, I think, right?
I think so. It's the first time we haven't issued any show on that Thursday, the every other Thursday. There have been 2 shows where we did not talk about the content. We had like mini-sodes in between Baldur's Gate 1 and Siege of Dragonspear, and in between Siege of Dragonspear and Baldur's Gate 2. But there was also one bonus episode that was not on a regular Thursday, wherein Balthazar went back to kill Tazok.
And then killed Tazok again.
Yeah, that also happened a second time in Baldur's Gate 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, we appreciate the strong fan commitment to sticking with us through our break. This will be coming out on American Thanksgiving.
Ooh,
which is quite odd.
I suppose so.
It just shows our commitment to the brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, please listen to this at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Also, check out our secondary show, Mages and Murderdads, where we talk about, of course, wizardry and fowl hunting.
No, well, that's this show.
Oh, that's right. You should like this. hit that damn like button right there, right there in front of you. You should subscribe as well if you haven't subscribed already. You can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and you can come hang out in our Discord. We have a really lively Discord chat. I'm running D&D 5th edition again. There's been a little bit of conversation about that.
About all kinds of systems.
All kinds of things. We've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. You can come hang out with us and play Destiny 2.
We talk about more systems than any one person could possibly run.
That is 100% actual, factual, true facts.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always support us on Patreon. We release an extra special podcast over there on that. You can check that out. The last episode had a probably 30-minute run talking about David Cage, the new David Cage game, and being pretty critical of that.
If you love David Cage, tune in. If you hate David Cage, also tune in. If you're utterly ambivalent, I don't think that you would be able to maintain that ambivalence after our 30-minute rant.
Mm-hmm. When one is presented with a David Cage, you have to take sides.
Yeah.
You know, there in the same way that there's no atheist in a foxhole, there is no ambivalent David Cage or human with a stance toward David Cage once you encounter David Cage.
In a foxhole.
In a foxhole, David Cage is a World War I simulationist in his free time. That's why it takes Quantic Dream such a long time to make games.
It's a war of attrition.
It really is. But anyway, you can go over there. There's a monthly newsletter that comes out, an additional podcast, all kinds of good stuff. If you like listening to this show and you just want, one more hour of this in your life every month.
Mm-hmm. I think we got to jump into it because we knock out a chapter here.
We do. So there's only there's 4 chapters.
Might be 4.
Might be 4 chapters in Throne of Bhaal. This expansion, kind of the last Baldur's Gate game. So how's it start? Danny?
How do we get to this forest with forest trees talking to us?
That's a great question. So at the end of Baldur's Gate 1, all the way back at the end of Baldur's Gate 1, forget about that. At the end of Baldur's Gate 2, the game we just finished, we're in Sultan Esselar, if you remember. We kill Irenicus. We are brought back to the material plane, back to our bodies, and the queen is there, whose name I can't quite remember. at this very moment. She's the queen of Saldan SLR, this elven queen, and she says, golly gosh, we are so thankful for you to be here. But there's, and now we're in Throne of Bhaal, but there's rumblings of stuff happening, and you should go to see what your destiny is as a Bhaalspawn. You should go to the forest spirits, kind of ancestors. It's kind of some vague language, and I also don't really understand how it like fits into Forgotten Realms lore, you know, like what we know about this world, but whatever. I'll bracket all of that to say that that's how we get there. She sends us there.
Yeah, you go talk to the trees, and they say a bunch of cryptic stuff in like in a similar vein as like Irenicus circa Siege of Dragonspear, but less intimidating, less mean mugging, right?
Less recognizable voice actor for sure.
Certainly. And I'm rolling around these trees, and just a creepy like goth lady shows up.
Yeah, this game, like, really, there's some shortcutting. So the production history, as far as I understand it, when it comes to Throne of Bhaal, is that the plot of Throne of Bhaal was meant to be Baldur's Gate 3. And for whatever reason, and this is something I guess I'll go read up on before we kind of progress through these episodes. I didn't want to know too much, because it's been a long time since I played through Throne of Bhaal.
And this is my first time.
Exactly. So didn't want to step on it too much. But yeah, the idea is like this was meant to be kind of the content that we see in this expansion was meant to maybe spread out over a lot longer time with more stuff in the middle of it and maybe with more plot to it. So in this one, yeah, like we talked to some forest spirits, these kind of elven kind of half deity spirits, and then like a woman shows up. And she says what is her name? Elisera. And she's just going to do a murder upon you.
I, too, am a Bhaalspawn, she says, and it is you that will be murdered by me.
Yeah. So, like, as we have known already since Baldur's Gate 1, right, the way that a Bhaalspawn becomes more powerful is by killing other Bhaalspawn, which then concentrates the energy into the one who did the killing. It's just Highlander.
It is Highlander rules. Although, do you have to be the one that does the killing? Because Sarevok's whole spiel was I'm going to get more powerful by just murder happening.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like play back and forth. Like it seems like sometimes it's happening Highlander style. But yeah, you're right. Sarevok's plan was a little bit different. It was just I will cause a lot of murder to happen. Irrespective of lineage, and then that will help him like jump to godhood.
Sure, and I mean there was the implication that when he caused that murder, a bunch of Bhaalspawn could die, and it's like when a Bhaalspawn dies, their energy might get like disseminated equally among the remaining Bhaalspawn. That's also a way I've interpreted it.
Yeah, that is my impression. But he was doing like also additional murder too to make that happen. So I don't claim to have any like super knowledge of this. I have not looked it up beyond playing the game, and the game's just kind of like I wouldn't say vague about it, but is often contradictory about it.
Yeah. So Elisera gets murdered by Balthazar.
Oh yeah, my party of adventurers just destroys her. What's
your party at this point? The same as it was at the end of BG2?
No. Or right now it is. Yeah. At this very moment, I'll pull up to make sure I have my right party information. But at this very moment, yes, the party is the same.
Okay. All right. Well, so after we do this with Elisera, do we have to like? I think we initiate a conversation with like one more tree spirit, and then we just get zapped, right? We get zapped back to hell.
Yeah. So I guess it's something that like has to do with killing Elisera, maybe. I don't know. It once again kind of vague.
Okay.
Hard to know. There's a lot of fast and loose playing that happens here in Throne of Bhaal, I think. But yeah, so we are back, like in the zone. Sorry, my thing was real loud. But yeah, so we're just like back here, and we are. It's like what's really weird to me about this is it's like kind of designed to be the same thing as what we saw at the end of Baldur's Gate 2, like when we were fighting Irenicus, but it's actually kind of redesigned. Like if you look at the middle of the area, like the like where the big statues that were holding things up and all that. It's not exactly the same. It's been redrawn.
Yeah, it's meant to evoke. You're supposed to recognize this as the same place, more or less, right? Mm-hmm. I totally get it. And anyway, we get here and we meet Solar. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah. So there's like planetars, and they're the good versions of a demon.
Yeah, they're angel-esque.
Yeah, they are. I think there was probably some satanic panic that might have prevented Dungeons and Dragons from implementing just the word angel. But yeah, they are angels. They are blue-skinned, big feather-winged angels.
And if I recall, there might be a difference between planetars and solars with respect to, like, one might be lawful, one might be good. I can't remember, though.
Yeah, I feel like there's a very similar, demon, devil.
Exactly.
And then, like, gradations within that thing going on.
Yeah. So the Solar basically lets us know, hey, I'm here to guide you. You've got to, like, figure out some stuff about who you are before you can continue. You can't direct this conversation any other way.
No, this is the most railroading. Like, this is a DM saying, all right, I've got a sheet of paper and I'm going to read it. Mm-hmm. And you tell me what your character thinks about all this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've been guilty of that, but I can see what's happening. But yeah, and it just says, like, look, I think I have a quote written down here. Oh, no, I don't. But basically it's like, you remember all that Alondo stuff from way back in the day? And you're like, yeah, I remember all that Alondo stuff. And it's like, well, now it's the time. It's the time of the murder and whatnot. You thought Baldur's Gate 1 was the Alondo prophecy. No. You thought Baldur's Gate 2 was the Alondo prophecy. No. The Throne of Bhaal is the Alondo prophecy, where all the Bhaalspawn come together. And
congratulations.
Yeah, you get a sash. That's the really cool thing about being part of the prophecy.
So who shows up?
Just here in general?
Yeah, after the Solar
Sarevok.
like railroads you, Sarevok pops up. A person I have killed twice at this point.
So many times.
Three times if you count the time that I killed him when I went back in time to kill Tazok and him.
I'm sure there was like a dream where we've killed him one time. Right?
Yeah.
Where we like do the Slayer or something and kill Sarevok. Mm-hmm. He's damn down here again, but this time he's got a request, which I think is very cool. I'm very curious about what you did about Sarevok's request.
It's interesting. Yeah, keep going.
So he says, listen, I'm just well, first he's like, mea culpa, for killing all those people and trying to take over the Sword Coast and doing all that, like, 11th dimension chess to control the Iron Trade. Mm-hmm. He's like, you know what? When you're alive and you got the spirit of Bhaal in you, you just start doing weird stuff. You start going power hungry.
If you got the spirit in Bhaal in you, you let it out.
You let it out. You gotta let it out. You gotta let people know. They gotta know to be afraid of you. And he says, listen, I'm sorry I did that. Might be. But now that I'm dead, I no longer have the desire to conquer the whole wide world. I just want to be alive again. Like, it sucks being dead. So why don't you, Goriansward, Balthazar, Ticklevar, why don't you give me a tiny, little bitty fraction of your immortal soul?
So small,
little bitty soul. Because my soul was absorbed into, the giant ball apparatus thing that we know about. Mm-hmm. He says, if you do that, I'll get to come back to life. I'll get my life back, and I won't be a megalomaniac anymore.
And more to the point, if you do that, I can get you out of here.
Yeah. Does he say that?
Yeah, no, literally, because he's like, I know the way out.
Oh, that's right.
And if you do not do this shit, I'm not going to tell you the way out. And so Balthazar said to that, look, if I could kill you right now, I would. All right, spirit. Mm-hmm. I will find my own way out. And Balthazar went around and could not find the way out.
So you go back and you ended up giving him a little soul chunk?
I had to. There was no other way forward. If there was, I missed it.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I just immediately did it. I was like, because, Ticklevar is just
Tell me what to do, buddy.
just a pure spineless worm. And so this like objectively evil, right? Like empirical data has proven Sarevok is evil. We could do sociology on it. It's that clear. And so Sarevok, Ticklevar's like, okay, yeah, that sounds all right, buddy. Here's a little soul piece. And it flies out of him, and Sarevok comes to life again. And Ticklevar says, please join my party. So I'm rolling around with Sarevok now. That's the first of many new additions.
Yeah, I gave him a piece of my soul, and then he was like, well, what do I do now? And I said, you can fuck off. That's what you can do, buddy.
I bet Grandma's like getting real upset at Thanksgiving dinner right now.
I know. I'm so sorry, Thanksgiving dinner, but this conveys my distaste at like making this the hoop I have to jump through, right? Making me give anything to one of the biggest villains in this series in order to go forward. Not a fan.
Do you know what she's shocked about though?
What's that?
It's that she likes Sarevok.
Oh.
She's been listening since episode 1. Loves Sarevok.
This garbage. I've been waiting for Sarevok to be in the party for forever.
Exactly. Can't believe how churlish you're being. But yeah, so I let him in, and we meet a dude named Sespinar. He's like a little imp.
Yeah.
He talks funny. Like he's got a funny little voice. He's a little bit silly. He's just like an imp who wants to help out. He's balls like a little servant guy.
Truly the claptrap of Throne of Bhaal.
He is the clap, but like if we could just replace Claptrap with Sespinar, I would like the Borderlands games. Like,
you would go to the Steam and you would get the compilation.
Yeah, I would. But sadly, we have not done that. But anyway, so Sespinar like does interesting things for us. He basically takes the place of Cromwell.
Yeah.
If you remember from Baldur's Gate 2, Cromwell was the dwarf in Afkatla that we could go to and then craft interesting items like all those ones you have that I don't. Whatever those are called.
Have you ever crafted an item?
I think so. I think I've got like a crafted item. I have the Flail of Ages, but that didn't require Cromwell. Oh, I've crafted multiple dragon scale armors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've got some of that. I have some elven armor or whatever it's called that like is good chain armor, but it also allows you to spell cast. I got some of that from Sespinar, so he kind of does that magically. And there's like a fun little narrative thing where he's talking about like going through your bags. And he's like, "Whoa, what is this?" It's shiny,
and you're just
blah,
like,
blah,
"Can
blah."
you not just tell me everything you can make?" And he's like, "Nope, don't have a list handy."
Yep, can't. That's not. We didn't program it like this. But so he does that, and then you have to do some like hell challenges. Like it's like 1995, and we gotta like go through the aggro crag.
Yes,
It's awful.
but there's only one door open
right now, but over the course of Throne of Bhaal, we have to do these like different challenges.
No,
And
this one was kind of tough, to be honest.
I don't. What was this one? Tell me about this one.
There was a fellow, and he talked about how he murdered a bunch of people, and then a bunch of people appeared, and you had to fight them. That is literally what the challenge was. It's like a serial killer.
Yeah, so it's not just some dude; it's a Bhaalspawn. So you're getting like the narrative of a different Bhaalspawn who like lived life and died eventually, right? Because he killed a bunch of people, and the town found out he was killing these people. But this narrative he's giving you is like, well, I was just doing it because like I'm a Bhaalspawn. That's what's in my heart is murder, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so we're supposed to say, well, if murder makes you feel good, can we really hate murder?
And thus, this is the first combat encounter of Throne of Bhaal, really, other than Ilisara, right?
Yeah, the first real one. It's pretty hard because it's just continually spawning in enemies, right?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a good indication of, like, what encounters are going to be like moving forward. Because Throne of Bhaal definitely takes a stronger tack in the direction of Siege of Dragonspear. I'm not going to go over like encounter design the same way we went in the first episode of the Siege of Dragonspear episode.
Just go listen to that if you
go
haven't
listen.
already.
Go listen to that. That should be like episode 12, I think. But yeah, it is a different experience. It is more tightly designed. It is intended to be more challenging and less simulationist, etc. And I feel like this kind of encounter clued me in that that's what they were going for.
Yeah, it's much more about like getting by an individual fight by the skin of your teeth, it seems, even with a full party. Mm-hmm. And more than that, this game, in the stuff that we saw in this chapter at least, like tends to lean pretty hard on really large spawns, if not infinite spawns. So like there will be, 15 enemies on screen at one time, all attacking you or in some stage of fighting against you. And I found that like really grindy and not super rewarding. Mm-hmm. And in retrospect, it actually makes me really appreciate these bigger fights that took place in Siege of Dragonspear, because they at least, like, while, I'm on record about how I felt about that, the more set PC kind of stuff, but at least that feels refined. Like, Siege of Dragonspear's more designed fights feel like a very much refined version of the Throne of Bhaal.
I think it's because they included things that would eventually, in 4th edition, be called minions, and 13th Age, they're called mooks, like throwaway enemies that gave you a sense of scale, right? But that were not giant bags of hit points.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This kind of does that. Later on in this episode, we fight some fire giants with some, like, mages and some, fighters that get one-shotted. So there's a little bit of that in this, too. But it also just feels like it's 15 enemies in Throne of Bhaal, and they're just going to fight you. You know what I mean? They might be of different types, but they're not going to... And maybe this is, an Infinity Engine issue more than it is a design issue of, like, it really doesn't seem like the enemy AI scripts can do much more than whatever the thing they are supposed to do, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, like, hit you if they're a warrior, shoot you if they're an archer, cast spells at you if they're a mage. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of tactic switching that happens.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. But so you do the challenge, and you got to do the challenge, but after you do the challenge, you can, like, teleport out of here. Mm-hmm. And you get teleported to a town. What's the name of this town?
Well, before that, you want me to tell you my new party?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so how does party work in the Hell world? Because Balthazar doesn't care about this stuff.
So in Hell world, you can just go up to this gate and click on it. And it's like, who you want to teleport here? And that's it.
Who are the options?
Everybody. It's everyone that you have ever recruited or was possibly recruitable in Baldur's Gate 2.
Could you even summon someone that you never even met?
Yes.
Dang.
Yes, you can. Because all the NPCs are in there. I tried to summon Yoshimo to see what would happen, and the game's just like, yeah, he's dead.
Oh, but he was an option.
Yeah, he was an option. He was in there. I didn't try all of them to see what would happen.
It's like going to a restaurant and ordering something out for the menu, and then only then do they say, actually, we don't have that anymore.
No, it's even worse. It's like on the menu, and it says like, fresh fish of the day. And you're like, I want that fresh fish, and they were like, this is landlocked. We don't. Like you saw like the last fish. We burned it outside. It's
my bad.
Yeah, it's a real thing. But so I got rid of Imoen because I think she is useless.
You think that she's that kind of story arc has run its course?
Yeah, and I just don't care about it anymore, honestly. So even if there is more stuff, I just don't care. I took the feedback that I've received from several people on multiple platforms that maybe I just need more characters in my party that hit things, have swords.
That just do damage.
That just do damage. Don't just like fiddle around. In fact, people have called my party quote unquote comically underpowered.
Okay.
So it just goes to show you can beat the game any way you
want.
With
a comically underpowered party.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So I augmented it a little bit. This is my party right now. I got Ticklevar, sorcerer, doing good. Like no complaints out of him.
Are you still flinging meteors? Are you still summoning horrible things?
Oh, I'm summoning like 6 Mordecaian swords every combat. Yeah, we're doing that. So I've got Ticklevar. I've got Mazzy, fighter. She's got some paladin abilities, but she's a fighter, halfling fighter. I've got Viconia still.
Okay.
Got rid of Jaheira.
Oh,
Done with Jaheira. I just don't need. I really feel like, and I'm sure someone will tell me I'm wrong for this, but like, I feel like she is deeply underpowered for what she needs to be doing, which is like hitting people and then self-buffing. I always felt like Viconia could do that a little bit more and could mix it up with some spells. So got rid of Jaheira, subbed in Sarevok, who just hits people with a two-handed sword.
okay.
It does what it says on the label. Murder man. And so I kept Nira, the wild mage. She's doing great. And then to replace Imoen, I got Valigar.
Ooh, what was he exactly?
Valigar is a ranger. He might be a ranger fighter, but I think just a ranger. Or he's mostly a ranger. And he was the heir to the planar sphere, if you remember that. Valigar Korthala. So yeah, he's a ranger. He just does ranger stuff. He can shoot arrows, and then he can wield, this is the important thing, he can wield Celestial Fury.
Ooh.
So he's hitting people with that thing, and it's going pretty well. He's got pretty high strength. I've got.
Do you have anybody
belt.
that can? But do you have anybody that can wield Karsamir?
Nope.
Ooh.
I think I'm like way beyond the pale of being able to get Karsamir though. So.
Did you not get it? It dropped off of Fearcrag.
I didn't. Did I kill Fearcrag? I might have sold it. I might have sold.
Oh my god.
Karsamir. Remember one of the dragons I didn't kill. I don't remember which one it was.
I think it was the Shadow Dragon, though. I think he got Fearcrag.
That's true. But anyway, point being, I mean, I might have it. I might have sold it. I don't know. I'm not worried about it.
Gotcha.
That's
okay.
not like chasing the optimal weapons, which I know would make my time a lot easier and probably is best for optimal play. That's not really the concern. It was just mostly that I felt like Imoen was really not providing anything most of the time, and I know that Valigar can. So
Gotcha.
I was using her to fire arrows like 90% of the time.
That's your party. Balthazar is still Balthazar. Just Balthazar. We get zapped to a town.
Yeah.
What's the name of this town?
I've seen you've written here the town.
Yeah, I figured you'd fix it in post here.
I didn't fix it. What the hell's the name of this town? Hold on, let me look it up.
It's got an A in it.
Throne of Bhaal. I'll cut all this out.
Oh, really? Nah, keep it in.
Okay.
Keep in like half of it.
Okay, I'll keep it in. We teleport to this place called Saradush. The implication being that like we get sucked there because that's where all the Bhaalspawn are going.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. No. Is this a refuge?
Yes. So Melissan, right, as we appear there, we see this this person named Melissan, and she over the course. I'm kind of doing some shortcutting here because we find all of this out, over the course of a little while.
Yeah.
But basically, she knows that the Bhaalspawn are being hunted for being Bhaalspawn, right? And sometimes that's for the right reasons, because they're murdering people.
Sure.
And sometimes it's for the wrong reasons, which would be like Ilisira trying to kill us, right? Bhaalspawn hunting other Bhaalspawn. So her idea is to get all of the Bhaalspawn in Saradush where they can kind of self-govern and do their own thing, and they can be protected by this warlord named Gromnir Ilkhan, who is also a Bhaalspawn.
Yes. Bhaalspawn, you can't throw a rock in Saradush without hitting a Bhaalspawn.
No, because I think basically everyone there is one.
Correct.
And so the idea is both to create protection and like an enclave. So they can figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah. And basically, we zap in, and Gromnir Ilkhan's soldiers attack us because they're suspicious of us. And I have to kill those people, and then that's when Melissan gives us most of this information and basically says, hey, you've got to get to Gromnir because he's leading us to ruin. This town is under siege. We get a short video of some giants attacking Saradush, right? Mm-hmm. And we need better leadership. Gromnir is a bad leader. I'm got to get rid of him. Is that basically, am I getting that right?
Yeah, so Yaga Shura, who is the person who is sieging it, is a Bhaalspawn. He's like a fire giant Bhaalspawn. And Melissan thought that Gromnir would be able to protect them, but really what's happened is that Gromnir now believes that any Bhaalspawn is trying to kill him. He's like become very paranoid, very reclusive. It's very Riders of Rohan, whatever, the King of Rohan from Lord of the Rings. That kind
worm
of thing,
tongue.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if there is a worm tongue in the scenario, but very similar situation. So what we're told, and like this is like kind of out of nowhere, it's like, well, we just got to kill Gromnir.
Yeah.
Like the real solution, because since he's a warlord, he's got an army. And so instead of protecting them from the siege outside, really the army is just oppressing everyone who is inside of the city.
Yeah.
So we got to disempower the internal oppressive force so that the Bhaalspawn can either escape or defeat Yaga Shura or XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Unclear. ... Something.
Yeah.
So we just kind of wander around, like it.
Yeah,
this is
you
like
go.
a
Well, you have
city.
to effect ingress to this palace where Gromnir is, and the door's locked, right? And looking it up after I did it, there are apparently 2 ways to get in the palace. Although I think Consul and I stumbled upon the same way, which is kind of through the dungeon prison thing.
I mean, I didn't stumble on it. I went to the inn because I was like trying to buy and sell some stuff, and someone there just straight up tells you.
Yeah. Was it the guy you could just sell? Like, you could buy the information?
Yeah, I think so. Like
That's the same person I talked to. So
Okay.
Balthazar went up to a person and was like, yeah, I'm looking to get in. And this person in the inn basically told me, oh, yeah, I'll for 2,000 gold, I will tell you how to get in. And I said, absolutely. I have unlimited amounts of gold and nothing to buy. I have no need for material wealth anymore.
And there was like a little subplot there about the reason he knows about it is that the prison it was closed off by like a holy order, like a priestess, and he's been sleeping with the priestess, and that's how he found out the information. Because you have to go to her to get the key.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering that correctly. So there's a fun little story. I mean, that's kind of like the most bare bones narrative for how that functions. But I thought that was an interesting way of delivering that info to us. That like this dude is just straight garbage, and he will reveal his like sordid affair with a priestess.
Exactly.
For like
That's
2,000 gold or whatever.
That's how you got to get it. And so we head to the dungeon, and this is just some real sloggy vampire fights down here.
Well,
close
before we
quarter.
Get there, did you meet the celebrity?
There is a celebrity in the end. The co-author to the liner notes of the Baldur's Gate 2 instruction manual.
Mm-hmm. I think the Baldur's Gate 1 instruction manual too.
Maybe. Volo's here.
Volo, yeah. Volo Thamp Gettard. Get arm.
Last time we met this person was in a tiny inn in Baldur's Gate 1, right?
Yeah. And he was, just bebopping all around, doing whatever sages do in the realms. And what we get here is interesting because he's like, yeah, I'm here to write about all these Bhaalspawn. And I'm like, well, how are you going to leave? And he was like, I'm not worried about it. I've got plot armor.
Volo's gone through weirder stuff than this.
Absolutely. And I'm also not 100% sure he should be alive at this point, like in this point in the timeline.
Canonically,
but I also don't care. So it doesn't matter. And like all of this in the Baldur's Gate franchise is non-canonical for their Forgotten Realms.
Sure.
Which is a real bummer. But
yeah.
But then we go to Sloggy Vampire Town.
Slog Central. What do you want to say anything other than Sloggy in this dungeon? I imagine it's even worse with a party given the tiny cramped corridors.
Yeah, it reminded me a whole lot of the bottom, or not even the bottom, just all of the levels of the Diarnis Keep. And you remember back then I was like, yeah, I just don't think that the AI for this game is good enough to like navigate all these corridors and things. Felt a very similar way. Like I would often click and I would get all 6, little circles that would say that like, oh, you're going here. And then I would have 2 party members just go in the wrong direction. And the vampires were very easy to kill. I don't think I had any trouble here. So it was really just like fighting against the game more than it was fighting enemies. Which is never good.
It happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go through that dungeon, and then there's like a second level with like just Umber Hulks in a room.
I
Do
believe
you remember
you.
this?
Oh yes, because there is an alarm that triggers.
Yeah.
I just triggered the alarm and then fought everything in a corridor, in like the opening corridor, which is where I found that random mages in this world, just random magic users wandering around, now have time stop.
Yeah, just there's no chump in the world that can't stop the flow of time.
I know, it seems so easy. I don't know why I can't do it.
I mean, did you just choose not to?
I might have chosen perhaps like symbol stun instead of time stop on accident when I misclicked the last time. But oh well.
Yeah.
I don't have time stop yet, but I'll get it. I'm sure I'll get it at some point.
Stun's like time stop, but just for one enemy.
Yeah. That's the the bright side of life kind of scenario. But yeah.
Eventually, you get to the palace, though.
Yes, we get to the palace, and Gromnir is there. And how'd your Gromnir fight go? I'm very curious.
It's the same. So Balthazar, whenever you've got multiple mages, because like we said, they all have time stop, right? Gromnir had 2 mages flanking him. So you absolutely have to go in already with your super haste up from your high level abilities. You roll in, immediately beeline for one of the mages before Gromnir starts talking, kill the mage, zone out. Quick save, rebuff yourself, and then come back in and kill the other mage, zone back out, quick save, and then do the fight.
So at this point, you're doing a lot of like playing of the game.
I've been doing this for a while, because you've been watching my videos. Like I do this junk a lot, but yeah, I mean, this is just kind of like there is a meta game in Baldur's Gate, and I'm just playing a different game than the one "quote unquote" intended.
Well, it seemed like for a while that was like the optimal way of playing, but would you say that now at this point that is the necessary way of playing?
Correct. Yeah, I can't get away with suboptimal. Like there was a lot of times in Baldur's Gate 2, especially in the middle part where I got max level and the game was just not ready for that, where I could just like basically turn on the AI and let Balthazar go. Right. Now it does require that kind of optimal play. Like I've got to be pretty diligent. I can't play this game drunk anymore.
That's how you know it's a real tactical experience.
That's how you know
you're in the Throne of Bhaal.
And that's why my first impression of this game was just so negative, because I tried to do it after like my evening wine, and I was like, Danny frustrated.
So you want to say a little bit about that before we get in like the back half of the story part of this chapter?
No, not really. It was just like I was a little frustrated with kind of like how slow it was going. But I had to recalibrate my expectations for like how I'm supposed to do encounters, and also kind of recalibrate what encounters are actually necessary, right?
Yeah.
Because there are just a lot of trash mobs, right?
Yeah, that you could just run by.
Exactly.
I mean, you're kind of golden pathing the game at this point, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of things, like it's kind of hard to do crowd control on Balthazar, so you might be able to just run through a whole lot of it.
Oh, 100%. And so when Balthazar's berserked and when he has super haste on with the paws of the cheetah as his, like, Balthazar covers ground like nobody else, right? To the point where, and I think we'll get into this later, to the point where it basically can sometimes break the scripting of this game. Like Balthazar getting places he should not be in a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Well, so we kill Gromnir. Like I killed Gromnir too. Not very difficult. And Melisande shows up, and she's like, "Oh, we've done this. It was a necessary evil. Blah blah blah. Just what every good person has ever said in the history of time after they've done something horrible." And she explains kind of like what's up with this fire giant and the fire giant army that is sieging the Saradush.
Good old Yaga Shura.
Yaga Shura, and says that what makes Yaga Shura so deadly as a Bhaalspawn is that Yaga Shura is invincible to damage.
Really helpful.
Yeah, that's going to help you out every time. And that, so we find out two things about that. One, Yaga Shura was raised in what's a place called the Forest of Mir. And somewhere in the Forest of Mir, in a glade, I think even is what we're told, that's where Yaga Shura, like, unlocked his power. And also...
real level up moment in the glade.
Yeah, exactly. It went from being a beginning adventurer to a heroic level adventurer. And so that's thing number one. Thing number two is that Yaga Shura has a temple in the mountains that his followers who have then gone on to construct this army or be the fighters in this army, that they built to him, and that we could go there and find out more about Yaga Shura and see what's up. So we kind of open up the regional map here, and we get the option of going either to the Forest of Mir or to the temple. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't really matter which one you go to first, because it's one. There's one narrative here, right?
Exactly. I went to the forest first, though.
Yeah, I did too, because it was closer.
Exactly. Which, pretty small area. These are very reminiscent of Siege of Dragonspear areas. This is not a sprawling field with a thing in it. It's like all of the highlights are right here. Right?
I feel like Siege of Dragonspear might even be longer than Throne of Bhaal. Like, to have more stuff in it already. Yeah. Like, or maybe they're exactly the same. But anyway, very, very similar setup, similar region map even.
Yeah. What's the deal with Gorion being in the Forest of Mir?
So the Forest of Mir, we go in there and we walk towards this temple, and Gorion is there. And he's like, I tried to turn you into a force for good. He actually says that. I have that written down. And he says, like, all this other stuff. He's just like, you should be dead. I should have killed you in the womb because you're a Bhaalspawn and you're bad. And now you got all these powers, blah, blah, blah. He's just real mean. And then Viconia's brother shows up.
Whoa!
And we've talked a little bit about Viconia before, and that her narrative is very similar to Drizzt Do'Urden, and that when her house was being destroyed, she's a Devere. We know what happens to the Devere household if we read the Drizzt Do'Urden novels. But as her Drow household was being destroyed, her brother kind of stood in the way of the matron mother, kind of her family, to keep them from killing her. And so she was able to run away. So he took like a turn for the good that allowed her to escape the Underdark. So her brother is there, and her brother's like, you let me die. Like, we were supposed to escape together, and you let me die here, and you're bad. And she has a bad time.
I guarantee you, if you had Jaheira in your party, Khalid would have been there.
Oh, I bet so too.
Yeah. Because obviously I didn't get Viconia's brother, right? I only got Gorion.
Yeah, Khalid would definitely have to be there.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, are there any other tragic deaths in anybody's...
I don't know enough about all the NPCs in the game to really know. I mean, Valigar didn't summon one up, so...
Valigar didn't, but what about the woman that we liberated her stronghold, the fighter stronghold?
Because her family died?
Her dad did. Her dad did, right? She was heir to the throne after he died.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because her stepmother didn't die.
Exactly.
Right? She was just very rude. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool little narrative opportunity. I think there are cool... Like, there's a very strong through line of narrative in Throne of Bhaal that I think really works in some places, like in this spot, right? And really does not work in other places, which I'll talk about in just a second. But yeah, anyway, so we find out that this is like a shade, like a being with a bunch of like shadow beings, and they're like feeding off of our negative emotions. And so they would be doing bad stuff to make us more afraid and things like that.
Just the slime in Ghostbusters 2.
It's exactly the same as that. That reference I totally know immediately and understand. But anyway, so I killed that thing.
Yeah. And after you killed that and a very well-crafted, well-curated like encounter between you and like this witch.
Yeah.
You meet Niley.
The Witch of the Glade, a cleric
Witch of the
of
Glade.
Bhaal.
And mother of Yaga Shura.
Yeah, like adopted mother, I believe.
It has to be, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't
he's-
make sense genetically
He
otherwise.
is a fire giant. She is not a fire giant. So
No.
But yeah, and so she explains it this way. Or do you want to tell it? You want to tell the story?
I want to hear your take on this because I've got a question.
Okay, so this is how I understand it. Niley was a cleric of Bhaal. She, through her eldritch dealings with Bhaal or whatever, found out that you can take someone's heart from their body, and you can hide it. And, this is very folk tale, European fairy tale kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You hide the heart away, and then then you're immune to damage unless someone destroys the heart. So Niley did that for herself, and she did that for Yaga Shura
Yeah.
when he was like a child, I guess, or when he became an adult. Unclear. What's your question?
My question is, her immediate motivation for giving you this information is because she wants back at Yaga Shura, right?
Yes.
What did he do to make Niley so upset at him?
So Niley was going to use him as a vehicle for revenge. She was like building a super weapon, basically. And he didn't like that. So instead of being used he did what she was going to do to him. He steals her heart and hides it away, making him infinitely powerful over her and her powerless toward him. And then she's pissed off about that.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well, this is going to become more relevant in a little bit when we talk about kind of the resolution of this. But
Exactly.
yeah.
And there's a line of dialogue that's about the resolution that's very funny.
Yeah. So after this, you can head on to the Yaga Shura, like Yaga Shura's home base, and it is this like combination of very like a ton of hit point enemies because these fire giants just have a lot of hit points. A bunch of fire related encounters, and one of these things where you can only go in certain rooms. You do things in those rooms to unlock other rooms, and then you do things in those rooms to unlock the final room, and after you unlock everything, you click a thing to go into the next room, right? Yeah. So I do all of those things.
Yeah, it's a real slog. And like
I don't
can't-
kill anything in the first room.
I wish I could have done I just had too many party members, right?
I mean, I guess you could have who's your fastest person? You could have just gotten the fastest person and click the things, right?
I mean, they get like either CC'd or shot with arrows and fireballs.
they don't have
and things.
berserk. They don't have barbarian rage.
I think Sarevok does have his heroic ability. I think I took whirlwind, something like that. I took one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So you get through, and then in the final room, it's just a bunch of fire giants. It's kind of like the throne room, right? But Yaga Shura is not in. And I roll around in there, and there's just a slave there, which automatically Balthazar's getting angry that somebody owns this slave.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't want that. It's the worst thing you can do.
Do you remember this, the species of this slave?
I think it's like a human.
Yeah. Are we
think-
sure?
It's like a humanoid. It's not a fire
It's
giant.
humanoid. Yeah, it's not a fire giant. They're my size, but they basically fill me in to the same information as Niley. They tell me where to find the heart. So I've got to kill a bunch of fire giants, and I find 2 hearts. I find Yaga Shura's heart and I find Niley's heart.
Niley's heart is underneath Yaga Shura's bed.
Yeah, it's some real environmental storytelling here. And I head back to the Forest of Mir to talk to Niley to sort this stuff out. And Niley has a very interesting change of heart here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you pick up why that happened? There is a line of dialogue that is meant to justify it.
Is it just a sense that Yaga Shura was her ward? She raised him like a child, and she has all of this, all of a sudden, affinity for him when she didn't before?
Well, when she gets her heart back, her physical heart, she literally gets all of her emotional capacity back.
Oh, okay, that makes okay. I was about to ask you about a particular line of dialogue where she talks about feeling.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So she was like dispassionate and cold and calculating before, but now that she's got the heart back in, she's thinking, "Oh no, my child! I'm selling out my kid here." And then she attacks you,
Yeah,
and I killed her.
that does not work out for her.
No, it does. Like not even a little bit.
And now we come to a very interesting part of the game. Mm-hmm. Because when you fast travel to the front line, or like whatever it's called, right?
Mm-hmm. The siege itself.
The siege, you find out from Yaga Shura himself that he's killed everyone in the town. He has razed the town.
I don't know if that happened in my game.
Interesting.
I don't know. We will confer at the beginning of the next episode about this. Mm-hmm. But yes, he has broken the wall. Like he is in the town.
Yeah.
Killing
and
people.
Basically, he told me, I went there to kill you specifically, but you weren't there. So because you weren't there, I just killed everyone.
A real gift to the Magi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the script of the way this fight is supposed to work goes as follows. You got to cross a bridge. There's some like people fleeing. They get attacked, right? You cross the bridge. There's Yaga Shura with a group of people. There are a few mages. There's some fire giants, right? Mm-hmm. You hit him, and you deal damage to him. If you tried to attack him before this point, like because you could fast travel here, before the Forest of Mir. If you tried to do that, he had this invincibility shield around him that looked like green flame or something, right? Couldn't attack him. But once you deal damage to him, like 30 seconds or like maybe even less, 10 seconds go by, and then he has a dialogue. Like the dialogue opens up, time freezes, and he says, "Oh no, oh no, I've been
doing?
I've been harmed. Mm-hmm. No, it's not supposed to happen this way."
Are you saying he's being owned?
He is, "Oh no, I am not being owned," is what he says.
Yeah.
And he disappears. He despawns, right?
Yeah, which is not to interrupt the flow of the story, but the worst thing.
It takes you out of it, doesn't
too
it?
cheap, right? Like, it's like, it's just awful, right? The thing of, like, because similar to you, because when you get in there, there are lots of enemies spawning around you, too.
Yes.
And so, like, I crossed that bridge, and I was like, that's Yaga Shura. I've got to,
burn this thing down.
Exactly. I've got to burn him down as soon as possible. And so I, get up on him completely, and I'm, hammering on him with all my abilities. I'm blowing my best spells, all this stuff, and then he just despawns. And, basically I have to reload, right, because of how committed I am to the middle of the map here. But anyway,
Knowing
sorry,
how
so
it
he
works.
despawns for you.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you how it's supposed to work.
Okay.
He despawns, another group spawns, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to kind of fend off that other group. And then, X amount of seconds later, like a pretty long time, like 30 seconds or something, he will respawn, and a third group will spawn in with him. So there are 3 groups of enemies. Original around him, the group that spawns when he despawns, and then the group that comes with him when he finally spawns back.
Yeah.
Right?
And he kind of spawns in the opening of the map, kind of like where you
Correct.
came in. And also there are, spawning enemies around the edges of the map the whole time.
The whole time. It's a continuous stream.
Yeah.
So then you would fight him the final time. I think he's still missing some of the health that you took off. And when you kill him, that's kind of the end. The game pauses, and we go to the next section. There's kind of some story parts to it, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the first time I did this, I fight him, and I'm fighting him, and he despawns. And Balthazar's very, very quick. So Balthazar's like, "Ooh, did he teleport away? Did he gate?" Right? Mm-hmm. I didn't see the text, but I'll roll around the map a little bit. So I roll around the map. He's not there, and I'm like, this is weird. And I leave the area. And I go to the Forest of Mir, and I quick save. And then he spawns in the Forest of Mir.
Huh.
Right?
Really?
And he gives the dialogue of "Oh, I'm definitely going to kill you now," right? Then I'm like, okay, this is fine, right? You've spawned in with your little group of churlish fellows. This is easy for me to kill you now. You don't have like the continuously spawning people on the front. So I start attacking him. I get his health down, and he gets to 1 pip. And I continue to deal damage to him, but he just has plot immunity. It is not the same kind of immunity that he had before his shield went down. That kind of immunity would have said you are unable to damage him, right?
Yeah.
This is a special, weird kind of immunity. And I think
that like the next script, or like the script won't trigger unless it's like final hit point lost plus like,
and it has to be in that location,
or like plus like a map flag, right?
Sure.
So
yeah.
like, you know, is on map, is in phase 2 or whatever.
Exactly. So I think so it seems like there's just something that's not triggered, and I'm like, okay, I'll just reload. But like I said, the way Balthazar has to do these fights is he zones out, quick saves, zones back in. And I do that constantly. I did that 3 times before I got to Yaga Shura, right? So I look, there are no saves. There are no saves before I turn in the final heart, right? And like do this.
Oh, God.
So I open up console commands. I edit the .lua file, right? And I give myself console commands, and I go to Yaga Shura, who's still in the Forest of Mir. I don't have a save where he's not in the Forest of Mir. And I do the kill command, and I deal like 99,000 damage to him. Still does not die. The kill command in this game does not actually kill a thing. It just does damage. Yeah. So like a plot immunity flag is not overridden.
Dang.
Right? Then I use console commands to like reset his invincibility shield. Because like I was looking online, and apparently somebody had a problem with this. And they were like, oh, just like reset the part where you like trigger his immunity. So I reset the part where I trigger his immunity. And then I lower his immunity again, right? Basically recreating turning in the heart again. I then go to where he is in the Forest of Mir, because he does not reappear in the siege camp. He's still in the Forest of Mir. And I have the beginning dialogue of him in the Forest of Mir, right? And I attack him once, and he's like, oh my gosh, you've attacked me. I can't believe this. And he despawns, never spawns back.
He runs off into the wilderness.
He's never seen again.
I love the idea that that when you left the siege, he followed you for like 8 hours to get to the Forest of Mir. Like, it's very far away.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately that's where the game breaks, right? Because none of Yaga Shura works once you leave.
Yeah.
Right? All you got to do to like fix this is like don't allow somebody to leave while he's despawned, or just respawn him in the zone all the time. But I digress. So I have to do this entire chapter over.
All right, Beamdog, that's our bug report. That's our 1 hour long bug report.
Yeah. I do it again, and on the second time, I think I may have died at the same time Yaga Shura's like post-death plot thing happened. And there was just, instead of being teleported back to hell, which we're about to get to, the screen just like, it doesn't freeze because there's still like an NPC on the screen that's just kind of like chilling out, but nothing happens. Like I can't access any menu. I'm just like frozen there.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen for me. I just killed him.
You just killed him.
Yeah.
Was it fun?
It was fine. I don't, like I was saying about the kind of long form narrative stuff. Like, this is, you know, the childhood of Achilles, right? Same idea.
Yes.
Like a mother hides away this like prophesied child in the forest, and then uses some magic stuff in order to make him invincible. And that thing that makes him invincible ultimately ends up being his downfall, because you can reverse engineer it, right?
Yes.
And I think that is fine, but it doesn't feel very inventive. Like, it doesn't feel remixed enough. in the way that other things that are clearly borrowing from myth and other stories and things like that are in Baldur's Gate. It just feels like a reference to me. It doesn't really feel like a Forgotten Realms story. And maybe
I
if it
got
had a
you.
little bit...
You were saying that you didn't like the Greek tone of things didn't really mesh with you.
Yeah, I feel like Greek mythology just doesn't work in the Forgotten Realms, like that type of story. And I think that's because Greek mythology, like the myths themselves, are very linear. Like they share characters with other myths, but like the stories of Hercules are about Hercules, and he like goes to Crete or whatever, right? Or the what's the bull? The Minoan bull. Anyway, point being, like, he does all of those things, right? And you might recognize those locations, or you might recognize Zeus or Hera or any of these other figures, but this is not a systemic world, right? It's just a world.
Greek mythology, way less filled out than the Forgotten Realms.
Exactly. And so when you import that style of storytelling, I think, to a very structured and structural political intrigue, tightly knit, networked world of Forgotten Realms, I feel like it just like doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, how the hell did Yaga Shura build a temple in the woods, and how did this one, cleric of Bhaal get away with doing this when we clearly know that there's a vast network of Bhaalspawn and people who know about Bhaalspawn, right? Like,
yeah,
this plays a little bit fast and loose with the pretty tight storytelling that we've seen in the massive, like, 60-hour game we just finished. So yeah, I didn't much. I like it for what it is. I wish it were maybe a little bit bigger.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And then after we kill Yaga Shura, what's the order? Do we get zapped back to hell, or I think we get zapped back to hell first, and then we talk to Melisande?
I don't remember. I think this is where I stopped. I think we talked to Melisande first, and she's like, "Oh, there's other stuff to do," and then I saved.
Ah, okay.
So this is as far as I've made it. So we'll open up with getting zapped back to hell.
I have to say, my initial impression of this game, and this is why I'm actually very glad, even though it's the first episode we missed, I'm very glad we missed that episode, because I think if we recorded then, I would have been way more down on it because of, like, freshly experiencing that bug, which bugs happen.
You were real mad.
I was real mad. Playing it a second time and playing the chapter that comes after this has made me much more excited about Throne of Bhaal. I think that there's some really cool stuff happening. And I think one of the best boss fights I've ever fought is the final boss of next episode.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's this episode. All those other things we always say, you should hit the like button if you didn't already do that at the beginning of the episode. You should subscribe to us here if you haven't done that, and you can follow us on Facebook down there in the description below. You can see some memes. People love memes.
People love memes. You should get on our Discord, generate memes with us.
Yeah, we generate the memes there, and then we bring them to the world. So you can come do that. And also, if you like the show, you should support us on Patreon.
Exactly.
Give us some money, and we'll give you more podcasts and a newsletter and some other stuff, probably.
More podcasts, and we're just so thankful. We're so happy to have such a vibrant community.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, that was episode 38. Episode 39 is next, and we'll be doing, I think, the front half of the next chapter.
Yeah, we're gonna split the next chapter in half. 1 and 1. Okay, well, goodbye.
All right, ciao.
So saith Lando.